Good morning. It's 10 a.m. and I call to order this special meeting of the Carrabelle City Commission. It's September the 20th, 2022. It's 10 a.m. We're in the City Hall Carrabelle Chambers, and we thank you for silencing your phones, and I will ask Commissioner Allen to please say the prayer, and then I will lead the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Please stand.
Our God and Father in heaven, we're so grateful that we have this opportunity to come together and try to come together on things that would be good and helpful for this lovely city that we have. Be with us in all wisdom and judgment, and we ask this in the name of your Son and our Savior, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Ms. Keisha, would you please do the roll call?
We have Commissioner Brown here, Commissioner Allen,
Here.
Mayor LaPaz, Commissioner Walden, and Commissioner Millender.
Here.
Okay. And for the public record, we have staff members, Ms. Keisha Messer, our city clerk, and Chief Schuman, our chief of Carrabelle Police Department, and then public, we have Ms. Miranda Litton, representing our finance department, and for the public, we have Mr. Tim Sullivan and Tom Magnan and Greg Christopherson. And so our item is today, discussion and possible action regarding funding allocations of federal funding granted to the City of Carrabelle through the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. And what we'll do first is review the tentative recommendations and requests with all the tentative allocations to date that we did back on August the 23rd, 2022. We'll hear from staff with additional project estimates. We'll hear from the commission members. We'll hear from the public. We need to definitely prioritize our list. And just as a quick reminder, our CARES Act funding, the remaining amount in that is $32,754. So just to look over our tentative recommendations, and Ms. Keisha has given us a printout of that. We've all looked at it. Nothing has been allocated for the administrative department yet, which would include HEPA filtration systems, stormwater drainage management citywide, computers for administrative staff and commission that are linked with an automatic archiving system for records retention, laptops and computers and phones for the commission members, smart TV and wireless sound system for commission chambers. Airport has had a tentative allocation of $330,000 for stormwater management and mitigation out on those grounds out there. We've allocated nothing to disaster preparedness. The police department has a tentative allocation of $6,000 for 3 digital radar speed signs, $18,000 for 5 tasers, $45,000 for a new police vehicle that amount includes the striping and all the necessary law enforcement equipment. Streets and Roads Department, $20,000 for a variable message board, construct a office inside their new pole barn at $30,000, a new Kubota tractor with attachments, and a Lane Shark vertical mower at $80,000. Water and Sewer Department, $80,000 for a series of test wells for a new potable water supply in Carrabelle, West Carrabelle, and a new bar spring filtration system at the Advanced Wastewater Treatment Plant at $150,000. And then we have capital projects, development of Evergreen Cemetery Annex expansion. We haven't allocated money to that. Rehabilitate the old water plant building. No money has been allocated to that. Clean up Patton Park. No money has been allocated there. Construct a new city-owned storage facility in West Carrabelle. No money has been allocated to that one. Improvements to the boat ramp overflow parking area on Southeast Avenue C. I believe this board has agreed in principle to use the monies in the boat ramp B account to improve that overflow parking area. Complete the flagpole display. A request of $25,300 was requested at our August 23rd meeting for that, to complete that project at one time instead of in phases. Economic development, this is new on here. I've been requested by several folks that we needed to set aside some money for future economic development planning, overlay map planning for the City of Carrabelle for downtown. So, you know, there we have it. So far, and we have $784,300 tentatively allocated. That leaves us a reserve of $628,000, $628,107 remaining. So that's what we have, and I'll hear from Miss Miranda now if she can tell us. They did a little bit of research.
Before you go forward, I've got some different numbers on here, so. Did, on those last couple that you just went over, was there any money allocated to that?
Which one?
Flagpole and economic development.
I put the flagpole at $25,300. You don't see it there?
No.
Okay.
I must have grabbed the old one.
And no money to the economic development.
Okay. So that 25.
Where's the flagpole going?
It's not on there.
Oh, it's not on there.
Here it is, right here. Oh, okay.
I printed the wrong one.
Okay. All right, so yeah,
25.
Y'all just scratch that in, flagpole display, that was requested at $25,300. And then I've had people ask me to include economic development on there as well. Is there anything else?
We don't have any prices yet for all that was mentioned for the office here on upgrading the electronics. We don't
I
have
was
any.
about to ask Miranda on
Okay.
that. Is there anything else, Keisha?
No.
Oh, okay, all right, very good. Thank you. Let me see here. Okay, so Ms. Miranda, what do you have for us? I know y'all did a little research.
The only thing that I have for you right now is the HEPA filtration system. It's gonna cost about $19,000 to do here and the water treatment plant.
That's basically 10,000 each
Yes.
location?
Yes.
All right, well.
And that was a quote as of Friday,
What was that?
about 19,000. 18,760 is the quote, but it could fluctuate some.
Should we just put tentatively 20?
20.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna have smartphones, depending on the make, model, and brand of smartphone y'all would like. It's anywhere from $50 to $250 per phone. It's $60 a month for an unlimited plan, so that's gonna be about $3,600 yearly for just the plan.
Okay.
I think Courtney said she looked up the smart TVs, they was running about $1,000.
Okay.
And I know she was still working on the wireless sound system and the others.
All right. I asked her not to be in a real big hurry about the wireless sound system and the TV because we have other items, in my opinion, that are a higher priority.
Right.
And Ms. Keisha, y'all were trying to reach someone about the automated archiving system?
Yes, for the laptops.
Uh-huh.
I've reached out for for the social media, but I haven't heard anything back for the actual laptops.
Okay.
And then as far as the email addresses, that's easy to set up.
Yeah.
And then we can, we would keep them pretty, vague. You know, it would probably be like blapaz@mycarabelle.com. And then we could change them as the commission changes.
All right, and I'll just go ahead and kind of remind y'all, I think I've mentioned this before, that this is the only, as far as I know, the only governing body in Franklin County that uses their own personal computers and personal archiving system and that type thing. Everyone else, all the school board, everybody, library, they've all got they're all on an automated system provided by the agency. So, okay. All right, then, where was I headed next? So, okay, we've got information from Miranda, Ms. Keisha, thank y'all very much. And then, do we have comments from the commission members at this time?
If we have, the emails, those will automatically be.
Yes, those will automatically archive. The emails
Doesn't
will.
cost any extra. Do we get a price on what computers or tablets or whatever we're thinking?
Well, I mean, you know, Courtney and I both use Apple everything, and Miranda uses everything, you know, so it's really the preference, you know, so, but that's why I reached out to a company, and I haven't heard back that, you know, would tell us his recommendations. It's professional, you know.
Okay.
Okay.
The only comment I have is I'm very interested in that, in
Yes.
the updating the commission and the office here to a modern era.
Yeah.
And so to speak, get us out of the Fred Flintstone days.
And
But anyway, it'd be a whole lot more convenient, workable, and sensible to have those modern devices, if you will, without getting specific. And I'm in favor of us looking into that deeply.
I am too.
And like, for instance, my Apple laptop, phone, and computer can all sync to the iCloud, which is a backup system. That's not, and I can pull up even documents on my phone, you know, that are stored on my main computer in there, so.
That's how my Google account is. I
And
have
Google works the same,
And
so
I
we,
can pull it up on everything, and it's automatically backed up.
right.
Well, this is something I've asked for since I came on board in 2011, and I haven't had support from the commission to really make it happen. But it's so serious that all of us are risking being sued for not keeping our records like we should keep them. And when we go out there and ask to be elected, I never said that I was a professional records manager, you know, so that wasn't part of it. I didn't know it at the time. All right, so anything else? We've got, you know.
I would just add back, I know, Mayor, I do agree that there may be higher priorities that we need to look at before we make a decision. But I really like also the concept of turning this into a wireless system in our chambers here and upgrading that to a smart TV.
It is smart.
Yeah.
Eventually.
So, exactly.
Well, for allocation purposes, we probably could say, you know, about 1,500 each person for a phone and a laptop, each commissioner. So that would, because you said about 50 to 250 for the phones, and then you're probably going to look at about 500 for a computer, 5 to 1,000, you know, really depending on what you get. I mean, if you're going to get it, you don't want to get the cheapest laptop out there that's going to be slow. Right, because then you're going to need to buy a new one every year. So I would say 1,500 probably.
So you need 3,500 to 5,000, somewhere in there.
Well, the other members of the board may feel differently about the phones, but I'm good with my own phone. And I do understand if other board members feel differently, but I don't necessarily want
To carry
two phones. And I'm good with my own phone. And plus, that's a reoccurring charge that we're gonna have to pick up in our general budget in the future. But anyway, that's just my opinion.
And now what about saving to the cloud? The more users you have, does it cost more? For
No,
that?
each one would have their own link to them,
Mhm.
whether it's Google or Apple.
But does it cost more?
No.
Is there a service? I mean, the
It
service
dep-
fee, is it just for
I pay
unlimited?
$2.99 a month for extra iCloud storage, but I have documents that go
For like
back
10 or 20
15 years, 20 years, so.
I just.
And even more that I got when I got the position, so I couldn't see y'all needing that additional storage, for just the terms. And we could always add it, but it's not much, it's usually like 99 cents for, a terabyte now.
And you'll never fill that up.
No.
Okay. I would just say, right quick, I kind of jotted down, well, I did jot down what I felt like were priorities. And I feel like a new potable water supply is definitely a priority. I've known about this for over 10 years. We do have a second well, as Charlie has explained, and out here for Carrabelle, the DOC, and Keith Mock has preached to me about that numerous times in the past, but it's a well, the water's full of iron that doesn't, the MIAX system can treat that, but it takes a lot of MIAX. The MIAX resin is very expensive, and that iron helps to rust out the system at the water treatment system, and then the water that comes out isn't quality water. Certainly you can drink it, it wouldn't hurt you, but people really don't care for it, the taste of it, and you could bathe in it. But we do need another potable water supply. If something happened to what we have now at the Carrabelle water treatment system, water treatment plant, we would be in a little bit of a problem there. And on the west side, as Mr. Charlie has, on the west side of the rivers, he's recommended is a good idea because we're expanding out that way. Cemetery expansion, I had to ask, well, do we need water or do we need a cemetery? I asked myself first, what do we need most? I think we need water because we're living. And then we need a cemetery. Yeah, depends upon if you're dead or alive. But we do. We need a cemetery expansion and water. And then we need stormwater improvements. In my opinion, we need a HEPA air filtration, economic development, water plant building rehab. I don't know which is more important there. We can decide if we want to even plan for economic development in the future, and that would also include property purchases and that type of thing. Administrative staff, the items that we just talked about for administrative staff and commission members, department allocations, and disaster preparedness. And I look back on the James Moore presentation that when they came out here to help us decide whether or not we take the standard allocation of the the 1,412,000. And they said that these things that we cannot do, we cannot use that money to reduce our tax revenue, which use it to reduce the millage rate. We cannot make pension contributions. We cannot service debt, and we cannot save the money for a rainy day fund. Now, I don't know if saving it for a rainy day fund is where we've got reserved for contingency. Is that the same thing? I don't know.
That does not include this money. What do you mean?
Well, right now, we've just got it listed.
Oh,
on the
yeah,
budget.
yes,
Okay.
that would be,
I don't
yes,
know.
that needs to be zeroed.
Okay, yeah. Or we need to spend it one way or another.
Right.
We can't just save it. I don't think there's any deadline on when it has to be spent.
No.
Debt service, does that include settlements like
Airport.
lawsuit settlements or anything like that?
I don't think so, but just be on the safe side,
Mhm. And then what do you mean airport?
No, I was thinking.
Okay.
I did want to say, when you was talking about economic development, it got me thinking, and we really need a zoning map done.
Yes.
A new one. Because if you've ever seen mine, and I don't have it electronically, so I have to send out a picture of it. And it was done probably in the 70s, maybe 80s.
Someone told me who did that. I think it was Harry Gray's mother or somebody.
And they
did that.
colored it in with color pencils.
Yes,
So,
but they did a good job with what they had.
with
at
what
the
they
time.
had, right.
They
but,
did a very good job, and yes, we've had either someone from ARCP or Zach DuVoe,
We discussed it
and it
with
was
them.
very expensive to
Yes.
get it. I mean, it was like, I couldn't believe it, $10,000 or something, I don't know. So, anyway, that's what I feel like are priorities, so, I mean, you all,
I'll speak up. You basically
Okay.
covered mine of interest.
mhm.
In going forward and getting some pricing on those items. I have given it a lot of thought, and so you basically covered what I had in mind.
But we need to get some priorities here before we really start. We need now Charlie did say for a new potable water supply to do some test wells and to get a hydrologist would be around $80,000. Cemetery expansion, I've talked with Courtney about it, and we really believe that $300,000 would, it might not do the job, but it might do the job. To that area that's being surveyed now, to take all the trees out, all the roots, get it leveled to a point where it can be platted out. And
That
I
will
mean,
cost 300,000.
I mean, and you may be right, but I think that's a little high.
Mhm.
I hope it is, let's put it that way.
Mhm.
But it is gonna be expensive.
Mhm.
When you start land clearing, getting the roots out, survey work, everything to be done, it's gonna be expensive. I think that's a little bit high, but we'll see.
But tell me what you think, because we need to know that before we start handing out money to
We
other
do.
departments.
We do, but
And there's no way to get a true estimate unless we have a scope of work done. But I think it would be, behoove us to allocate funding for that, to go ahead and start and get this project underway.
oh, there's
one way
no
or the
doubt,
other.
we need to,
Mhm.
definitely need to. I'm definitely in favor of moving forward with the cemetery expansion on whatever we're gonna do, because it's needed. And it's gonna be, every day passes, it's needed more.
Mhm.
If I chose a figure, it would be totally.
More
out of
than
the-
that.
Well, it'd be totally out of the sky.
Mhm.
But we can consider that, but I'm just hoping that the 300,000 is way
Mhm.
high.
Then stormwater improvements, Courtney and I talked about 300 for that, but when I say citywide, I'm including the airport
Yeah.
as well. So, if we went stormwater improvements for the airport and citywide, well, that's 630,000. HEPA filtration system at 20,000. Economic development, I don't know what to say. Water plant building rehab, we could go 100, 200, and who knows, that might, so we need to step up to the plate here and get some kind of an idea of what we want to allocate to these different items that we've got on the list, even if we want to allocate. We did not allocate money to the water plant building in the CRA budget this year, even though we have it on in the CRA plan, or it will soon be in the plan, and we've deeded it to the CRA, the city has, thinking that we would this year use money from this American Rescue Plan to start that project. Now, there will be money in future years coming from the CRA that you could continue working on that project. Now, bear in mind, as soon as the CRA, when the property values continue to rise, income on the new CRA district, the expanded district will also rise. So, you know, we're just starting out new with that. Department allocations, you know, do we want to stand with all of the allocations that we've already, that we've discussed here and reviewed with the staff? Now, I could say with the bar filtration system, yes, it's going to cost $150,000, somewhere in there, 130 to 150. But we could lower that to 100. We could put this budget, this funding, could put 100 towards it. And he's not ready to do that this year, but then he could include that in his capital projects on the sewer side next year, the remaining funds, because they do generally have a high capital projects budget there for on the sewer side.
That's a good idea.
I mean, you know, I'm just trying to
I'm-
teach y'all, let's
Yeah.
compromise here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that the police department has the lowest allocation, and I understood that the chief wanted to ask for an additional item for the police department. Okay, if you just kind of give us just tell us right.
Good morning.
Good morning.
There we go. Actually, I went back through the numbers and changed some things, and actually come in lower, and maybe even a little bit lower than what we proposed the 69,000 for.
Okay.
With the radar signs, we allocated 6,000. Again, DOT may cover one of those, so that will reduce that number. I don't know the exact number as to what that will reduce. Tasers, we went with 4 instead of 5, and we went with a different version because they were requiring a contract with the ones that they were trying to sell us. The new ones that we're looking at does not require a contract, and that comes in at around $9,000 instead of $18,000.
Okay.
So then what we would do is take the ones that we have now and use those for the part-time people or spares.
Okay.
So that would allow us to reduce it to 4. Radios, and I brought the difference in radios in. This is what the officers use now. We've been using these long before, since 2006. These are the newer ones that they sell to us. You can see the difference in sizes and weight. And these here, we need 4 of them. Actually, we need 3 of them, and they would come in at around $12,000, or about $4,000 a piece.
Okay.
So I would like to add that. And then the $45,000 for the new vehicle, we're gonna come in a couple of $1,000 under that total number as well. So 36,000 for a new vehicle, and then because we're gonna take some of the old equipment and radios that we already have and move them to that new vehicle, that will save us money from having to purchase some of the newer equipment for that vehicle.
So, I mean, so you're talking maybe 43,000?
Around 42,
42.
yeah,
Versus,
versus
45.
45, so that saves 3,000 there.
But
And then, like I said, the tasers, the 18,000 compared to 9,000,
9,000.
we're saving 9,000 there, so.
On the vehicle, I would say leave it at 45.
I would, and I have one question for the chief. Chief, don't cut yourself short.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
on your equipment needs.
Yeah.
And I do respect utilizing what you have. I mean, that's what we all do.
Right.
We don't buy something new every day. But utilize what you have. You mentioned the tasers, using some of what you have. And you mentioned, and I do respect what you've done. You've approached it, and you're not entering into a contract with the new tasers, so you're getting them $9,000 cheaper. But my question right off the top of my head with that is, those tasers that you're getting for $9,000, are they good quality? Are they gonna do what your officers need?
Yes, it's the ones that the sheriff's office carries now.
Okay,
It's not the latest version they came out with.
Yeah.
The latest version they come out with is very, very expensive. That was the reason for the additional price. But these are the ones that the sheriff's office has been carrying for the last couple of years. It's through Axon, which is the same company we use our body cameras through. It just does not require a contract with this style version, so.
Well, I think that's great. I just don't want you to cut yourself short.
No, and we have
on what your needs are.
Yeah, they are covered under warranty for a few years, so if there are any issues or any problems, return to the exchange.
And so they're about 2,200 each or something like that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It's $8,935.80 to be exact, for 4 of them. So, got it down to the penny.
Okay.
And quick question, why do you need 4 versus 5?
Well, the fifth one I was gonna use for spare.
Yeah.
For part-time work.
Yeah.
But we have 3 that are functioning properly, that are older tasers, but they still work. So why purchase another brand new one when you have 3 that are still, can be used for the part-time officers?
Okay.
Because I have 3 part-time officers, so.
That's good.
4 full-time, 3 part-time, I don't carry one, so.
Tasers. Okay.
So if I leave the 45, I've
would.
got 70, is that what you got?
Let me see, and 12. A 72, 6,000 for
Well, I
the,
did 4,000 because he said that he only needed 2 signs.
I think I would just go ahead and leave that and get the
leave that in
DOT.
there.
Okay, leave it.
Uh-huh. And then 9,000 for tasers, 12 for radio, 45 for the vehicle, 72,000.
Overall, 72,000 even, but I'm gonna come in way under that, I believe.
Okay,
But a little cushion, comfort zone.
all right, okay. Well,
Any other questions?
I have nothing.
I just have one other comment.
Okay.
I mean, Chief, it's your section,
Yep.
and I heard you say you're not gonna order a taser for yourself. It's that one time you may need it. So if you're a little bit under on some money, I would suggest you be outfitted.
Okay.
That's
I mean-
just my opinion.
We could, but we'll see how it looks here. We could up that to 75,000.
Well-
Once we finish, and then you can get 5.
He's saying he may come up short or below what he's
Right.
asking for. If he does, utilize it.
I'm definitely gonna come up under on the vehicle, for sure, I know that. So, yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Right, barring anything with Williams Communication go out with the vehicle, but,
Yes, ma'am.
yes, sir.
The radar speed signs, is that like they have over in Lanark? Tells you your speed as you go?
Yes, sir, Commissioner Allen, it's more of a stationary though, it doesn't.
Stationary,
It's on
yeah,
a concrete
it'd be
on the
there,
pole.
but it would read
Yes.
and get back to reading though.
Yes, sir, it'll give you the reading, it also flash a blue light
Yeah.
to let you know that you're speeding.
That'd be
And
it.
99% of the time, people see that, they slow down.
Okay.
So, just a deterrent, and especially right up here, we have such a major problem here, Ryan Drive in Tallahassee Street, so. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you. On the Streets and Roads Department, we have right now 130 allocated. That's for a variable message board, the office, to build out an office, and a tractor with attachments. We know they need a tractor, and they need the attachments to go with it to do what we're purchasing it for. They need an office. They have one variable message board. 2 would be helpful, but is it necessary? So I'm just gonna highlight that, and then, maybe we'll come back and take a look at that, if that's okay with y'all. And then the Water and Sewer Department, we talked about 80 for the well, new potable water supply, and then possibly reducing to $100,000 instead of $150,000 to go towards their bar screen purchase. capital projects now. Let's just look at this Evergreen Cemetery again. What do you know, I threw a number out there. What do you all think?
Yeah, that's the school. I'm gonna grab that. Just-
If I guess, if I made a guess, and I'm really kind of afraid to without,
Do we even know the size, about the
But,
size of the lot?
well,
And we don't have to allocate that money today, but we need to have some kind of an idea so we know what we can give to these other.
can we pay Russell out of this money?
Yeah, that would be part of it. That would be the scope of
Scope
work.
of
That's the
work.
project that we're doing, this project. He charges $300 an hour, no matter if he's looking up a Muffin Monster or
Yeah.
making drawings,
Now,
so.
does this include the old football field too, or we just put our hand up on it?
It can't be used as a cemetery for underground burial, so
Well,
You know,
that's.
I've seen a lot of pictures of caskets popping out of the ground, but they're not vaults, cement vaults. I don't think it's gonna pop out of the ground.
Right.
The ones I've seen are just where caskets are put in the ground, and they pop up, because they're not that heavy. A cement vault, I think we need to do a little research on that particular part of our property. I believe we could use that as long as they put a vault in the ground.
Well,
A vault in the ground.
yeah, that's
Well,
what, that's
yeah,
what,
what I'm saying, just
Yeah.
a casket, yeah, it's gonna float.
Uh-huh.
That cement vault weighs.
Now, would the city be responsible for putting that vault in the ground?
No,
No.
I'm talking about
Uh-huh.
when you have the loved one buried.
well, Russell had mentioned that when he came back and gave us a report,
Yeah.
that the cemetery is not, or the cemetery, the property with the water level, water table, it wasn't conducive to traditional burial. However, you could still bury underground, but you had to use the vault system.
Uh-huh.
That's exactly what he said. And I'll share two things with you. I've noticed quite a bit, just like recently, we've had a couple of funerals one of them's above ground. And if you look at the cemetery, there's quite a few above ground.
Yeah, there are.
Okay?
Mhm.
And so it's conducive to that. And also, the other thing that I've been amazed at in my going around knocking on doors and talking to people, at the people that have responded to the idea of the crematorium, or whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it.
Mhm.
And Russell give us some ideas on it. We can't afford no $250,000 one, but he mentioned one out there that was like $25,000, I think is what he said. But I've been amazed at the people that are interested in that. They are definitely interested in that. Yeah, they think that's a good thing to do. They'd
Well,
use it, they said.
Well, as time goes
Yeah.
on, cremation's gonna become more and more popular.
Exactly.
That's just, but,
So what I'm saying is that land can still possibly be used.
Oh, yeah.
and
We could
two,
set it up and do it that way.
I think leaving the numbers you got there would cover the section we wanna expand now, and would cover the old football field. As long as there's a vault in the ground, it's
Yeah.
not gonna pop up.
Uh-huh.
That casket, just,
Yeah.
they had this problem in St. Joe a couple of years ago where caskets were popping up, but there wasn't in vaults, they were
No.
just caskets put in the ground. But, other than that, I think it'd still work. But now,
I think it could, I don't think, this is my idea,
Yeah.
I don't think that we can, at this time, go ahead and set up the whole area. But a small portion of it, we could go ahead and set up for above ground, for below ground if they wanna do the vault thing, and do that little, do a small crematorium thing. I think definitely,
It could be
Yeah.
done in phases. I mean, that,
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
whole things will have to be done in phases as the years go by.
well,
yeah.
the problem is, when this money runs out, that we have to start doing that
Yes,
cemetery
and
out of
this
the
is-
budget. That's gonna be a lot
I know.
harder to
Yeah.
do.
This
It
is a
is.
once in a
Yeah.
lifetime opportunity. I mean, we could take the 1.4 million and put it all towards the cemetery development.
No, I don't think we're
But
gonna do
it
that.
could be done. It can be, I
But
mean, it could be,
I think the
then you'd
number
have
you
a
got there
cemetery.
would
Well, we could go build a road.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we need to dump it all on the grade.
What
And we-
number are, did,
I don't know, we haven't come to
okay,
it.
making sure I didn't miss anything.
I was gonna shoot at 200,
Uh-huh.
but
I
that's,
think that'd cover a lot.
I think it would.
200, not 300.
I think 300's a little high, but that's,
Okay.
hey, I can be fooled.
No, I don't. I mean,
I
200.
just think it's time we get started on these graveyards.
We do
I
need
do.
We
to.
can't wait much longer.
No.
And we ain't gonna have a better opportunity financially than right
Right.
now.
And what do you all think about the water plant building?
That's a different story.
Oh,
Ms. Tamber would like to comment
Now,
on that.
I'll tell you my thoughts real quick.
Okay.
Is not the total rehabilitation of the entire building, but at least get a roof on it.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Say $25,000 and get a roof on it.
I don't think that's gonna do it, though.
Because it
What'd
needs
you think?
trusses.
It needs to be demoed, first, it'd have to, all, whatever's there and
Is it
take,
contaminated, any,
I don't think it's contaminated.
It's just a shell.
Uh-huh, they have,
Yeah.
and they had the
Yeah.
DEO or someone out there checking it out, that's how we got involved in that brownfield cleanup
That's
out
right.
there. So, $50,000 might, that would put a roof,
no,
and it might dry it in a little bit.
Well,
It
the
might
roof would kind of, protect-
Stabilize it.
Yeah,
Mhm. And it needs to be stabilized if it wants to
I'm
be
gonna say
preserved.
that's right.
Mhm. It really does, and 50 is as low as I would suggest going
That's
on
fine.
that. And, if you're gonna put a roof, it needs to be, go ahead and put a nice metal standing seam.
Absolutely.
Do it right.
Mhm. But 50, that's, does anyone have any comment on that? Yes, sir?
If you're gonna put a new roof on it, those walls, aren't they block? You might wanna,
Yes.
I mean, if you were thinking about stabilizing the building, you might wanna think about pouring concrete down in those, in the walls, stiffen it up. I'm just not, once you put the roof on, it'd be tough to get at the walls, is what I'm saying.
We
So, I
were,
don't know.
we were in it once, but
Yeah.
I got scared of snakes, so then we decided to leave. Didn't see any, but it seemed like it's a metal building. It's a metal steel building, and then blocks were put in between the beams. Is that what you saw?
I don't remember for sure,
Okay.
but there are
Yes,
some metal beams in there, but the roof is shot.
Yeah, I was there 2 weeks ago. It's concrete, it's cinder block.
All
frame
around.
And concrete flooring.
Mhm.
And then like metal beams, metal frame beams with the roof on top of it, that's collapsed.
Uh-huh.
But the walls and the foundation seem to be pretty solid.
Mhm. I'm just gonna highlight that one, Will.
I was just saying, if you were gonna try to reinforce the walls somehow, that might be an option that you might wanna look at before you get
Before
the
you put
roof on top of it.
Clean up Patton Park. Do we want to allocate money to that? And then we have construct a new city-owned storage facility in West Carrabelle. Do we want to allocate? Do we know anything about what size, where we would put it, the infrastructure that would be involved with that? Then we have the flagpole display. Do we want to fund that and go ahead and get it all done at one time? That's $25,300. Economic development, and then we'll go back up here and put some money for this HEPA filtration system. You said $20,000?
Yes, ma'am.
Stormwater drainage for the citywide mitigation projects, and again, there I'm gonna say, well, we know we've got one major stormwater project that's been put to us that is estimated at 70. I think you all know about it, but then we know that Russell, all due respect, Russell, he's not here, his estimates are low sometimes. And so it could cost somewhere between 70 and 100 right there.
Which one is this?
Ryan Drive.
And stormwater drainage project that we've got on the Poteet property.
Oh, on the Poteet property,
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I spoke out of
And
turn.
that's settled, is that correct? And we've got to do,
That is-
the city has got to do management there, and it's been estimated at 70.
And that was a few years ago.
Oh, the
Or has he-
estimate was a
did he-
few years ago?
Did he do that?
I don't know when,
I thought it was.
That, it's been
let me see.
a year ago. At least.
I know it, I was just.
I'm gonna look down here and see if he had a date on that estimate. It'll take a second here. August the 10th, 2022,
Year ago.
70,000, 2022, so that was
That's
like a
most
couple of
recent.
months ago, August the 10th, this year.
Oh, when it was settled.
It was settled sometime,
Okay.
well, the project cost was estimated on August the 10th, 2022 at $70,296.
Okay.
For some stormwater mitigation of a drainage ditch there. So it could be that much or more.
Well, obviously, we have to do it.
So that one's not an option.
So that's, I mean, we've got, I believe the city's got 1.9 million in its account right now. You know, the city could operate a year without income if we had a disaster, and so could the water and sewer department. We're in good shape.
What are you suggesting, we spend some more money?
Now, it's not in the budget, so Keisha, how does that work if it's not in the budget?
Just
Well, I want to ask that
So
anyway.
if we did spend it out of our balance forward.
Yes, ma'am.
When we do our final budget, at the very end, that balance forward would decrease because we would have to put that project in the final budget.
So, but I don't want it to appear as if it was not budgeted. Had I known about this in advance,
Right,
it
well,
would have been budgeted.
right, and that's why it's there. That's why that money's there, because there's gonna be things that come up, you know, that you have to. But you know how we have to do our final budget at the end of the year, it would be included in that.
Now, when we do the final budget next November,
Uh-huh.
and we include that project, then will that keep us from appearing as if we went over budget to the
No, because
joint
that's the
auditing
purpose
committee?
of doing the final
Okay.
budget.
All right.
Yes.
I do not want to go over budget because we've been written up so bad.
Right, right.
Okay. All right, so that's an option that we could do, that it could be funded out of our general fund reserves, that project, and then leave money in this. And also there's a question of whether or not we can't service debt, and is a settlement, that's the settlement with this project, is that debt service, is a settlement debt service.
It
I don't know.
seems like that would make more sense to take it out of the reserves because was unexpected, it's a settlement.
It is a settlement.
So-
And it's been ongoing for 11 or 12 years.
Right.
But it needs to be done.
It has to be
It
done.
has to be.
Well,
It's court
and-
order.
and I'll say this on several of the things that we're talking about today. I'm ready to move forward because prices are going up. And I'm ready to get some of these projects going while we've got current prices.
Agreed.
Because every time I turn around, we get a
It's another
increase in price.
$10,000.
Okay, so then we'll just plan on that. Keisha, you can report that to Courtney, that we'll fund that through our general fund reserves.
And
one
that'll
project.
have to be,
Will we vote on that? I mean, none of that came to the commission on the
yeah,
settlement.
we'll have to get bids and everything, so, because it's so high, so it's not something that we can just
So-
hire out,
Yeah.
right, so. I'm guessing we already have a scope of work, because that probably
Well,
was
that-
part of the
where's that?
mitigation.
Well, then,
I think I closed that up. I just closed that up.
I think I
believe.
have it.
I did. That was an estimate. I don't know if that was a full scope of work or not.
Well, the estimate, but then you still have to bid it out.
Let's see, what's he calling it? He's calling a preliminary cost estimate.
So we could use that for the bid, though.
We know what preliminary means.
yes.
Okay, so it's gonna be 100.
Don't jinx it.
Well, I mean, I just like to deal with the
Yeah, I do too.
No surprises.
reality on the ground, so we know. All right, we could go with the, you know, we know we've got some major stormwater management issues. We've got, Russell's gonna report on one today over by dealing with the oxidines. I mean, there's mitigation projects all over the city that need to be done. So I don't know, what do you all want to put there? We've got, I mean, we could do 300,000 there even. 200 would make a dent.
Maybe start with 200. See where we're at
I
for
mean,
everything else.
we're just pulling straws here because
Here we are.
we just don't have anybody, you know, to give us any, we've got, for the computers and laptops, what do we say here for the computers?
She said $3,500.
$5,000 basically.
That's what I've got in there is 5.
Okay,
For all of them?
For everything all together.
okay, and that
Is that for
doesn't,
phones and computers?
no, just the computers.
Yes.
And I mean, we could start with that
That's
even,
cheap.
yeah.
I thought it'd be more than
Well, the computers aren't really that expensive. You know,
It could be.
I'm just gonna say, you know, the TV and wireless sound system, I mean, that's not a high priority. We can come back to that sometime. We have $330,000 for the airport, for stormwater. And right now, we have, I put 5,200, let me just see, make sure I'm collecting all this money right.
I've got 200,107.
October after all that?
Mhm.
that. If you hadn't included it, I'm gonna, voice one more time, the flagpole memorial,
I think
25-3, you included that?
That's in there.
That's another thing that's sticking in my craw, the prices are going up, and then it's gonna cost us more to go
Yes.
in. I'd love to finish it.
Okay.
All in one.
So Keisha, have 225 for the administrative allocations?
Yes.
Okay. And then 330, 72,000 for the police department. I took out, I took off the variable message board.
Okay. I just highlighted, I didn't take it
Okay.
out.
From streets and roads?
Yeah, but let's just see what we have, and then 108, that's 110 for them, 180 for the water and sewer department, 200 for the Evergreen Cemetery expansion, 50,000 for the water plant building, 25,300 for the flagpoles. That leaves, well, that's a total of 1,192,300,000, and that leaves 220,107 to be allocated.
Capital projects, you got 275,300.
Yes,
194,807.
I have 1,192,300. Let's see where we might be off, would be the police department at 72,000.
I got that.
Okay, and 110 for the streets and roads.
Uh-huh.
180 for the water and sewer department. Capital projects, 275,300.
Hold on here to see a mistake in this formula. Okay. 220,107.
Yes, 220,107 remaining. We don't
For
have,
administrative, we haven't allocated anything for the phones, only the laptops.
yeah.
Do we want to put anything for the phones? Just do it all in one?
Well, you know, we could, that doesn't mean necessarily that we have to fund the phones. I mean, they do have that recurring cost that would then be what is considered a debt. like, you know, a debt, and we wouldn't be able to fund
And
that with
I just
this.
wanna, like, request 10 for my new zoning map, if I can.
Oh, yes, economic
Because
development.
I don't even have the new subdivisions or anything on there.
And you think that it'll cost 10,000?
Easy.
Probably so.
I thought it would be more, honestly,
Well,
but we badly need that, though. You're
Yeah,
right
it's
on
embarrassing
that.
to have to
Yes.
send that out as my zoning map,
Very
you
much.
know. It's like, I don't have one, is what I try to tell them.
I took a close-up picture of it one time and got it laminated for the P and Z folks, so they'd have something. But we could, economic development zoning map, we could allocate 120 to that, and that would leave us 100 reserved for contingency. Did you have your hand raised? Okay.
It would just, but also, you know, if we had something like that would be online, it would cut down a lot of the calls that we're getting from realtors and people that are looking at property. They could kind of research it themselves, you know, and we could have it overlaid with the properties zip files.
So all that is 10,000.
Well, that's just getting a new map made, you know, not a digital overlay, you know.
Do we know about what one of those digital overlays were?
I don't.
Rhonda could tell you.
That's what I was about
Yeah.
to say.
All
They just
her
had it all
maps.
Well,
redone.
we could use her map. We would just need to digitally overlay. We need her shape files and digitally overlay it over hers
Yeah.
existing.
And the ARPC can do stuff like that.
Stuff like that,
And-
right.
And media, Cindy Clark, Bay Media can do that as well. She had a map for us for the CRA district that was pretty good, that told everything. It was an overlay, told the zoning on it, the size, the owner, everything. But now we've expanded our district, so that doesn't work anymore. But that would be good to have for the whole city.
It would.
But I can't remember, Cindy did that for us many years ago when the
Yes.
CRA was just developed. I can't remember what that cost, but that wouldn't be cheap. But that type of thing helps with economic development. It helps investors understand
Yes.
what they can do with the property that they're looking at. And economic development is, you know, right now they've done a huge economic development and overlay for the East Point Business District, and they got a USDA loan, and then they, not a loan, a grant. And Betty Webb Services has been working with that, and, you know, I brought it up to Courtney and Dan that maybe, you know, we need to try to do something like that in the future. It's more in depth than what the economics strategic analysis that we had done a couple of years ago. Yes, Chief?
How many laptops do y'all need?
5.
I have 5 that we don't use.
How old are they?
I'm not sure. They were in the vehicles at one point, and they took them all out of the vehicles, but they were just sitting back there. I don't think they're that old, a couple of years maybe. So it's something you guys might want to look at to save that expense.
Do you know anything about them, Miranda?
If it's them big bulky ones, they're not walking something like that. I mean, to have to travel with, to carry back and forth.
The tough, whatever
The
they
tough
are?
Tough book,
yeah.
the tough, yeah.
I mean, when you're having to carry it around, you don't want something more than a pound or two.
Yeah.
Well, you know, you're talking about tablets. I know tablets you can actually get through Verizon as well, which is also through the phone service that we have, which is a lot cheaper than laptops. And
That's what I
have the
use.
same functionality, but they're a little bit smaller.
Right, now you can get keyboards to attach.
That's what this is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I need a keyboard to attach.
But we do
Seriously.
have 5 if y'all are interested. They're just sitting there collecting dust.
Thank you.
So,
Okay, all right. So I'm just gonna go back and push the economic development issue.
Because we don't have to spend this right now,
Uh-huh.
I do agree that we need to look into that and find out what a cost would be. Maybe discuss it later to nail down the price.
Okay. Yeah, maybe
That is
we could
important.
get someone to, I can't remember the fellow's name that did our economic update on our comprehensive plan some years ago, like in 2014 or something. He did an update. Dan knew him from Tallahassee, and he did a big, thick update, an ear.
Greer.
Yes, uh-huh. Mhm.
You-
So, someone like that could give us a price, or
Right.
Betty Webb could, give us a guesstimate of what it would do to make an overlay for the business district.
Well, and, even I don't know if any of y'all seen my 911 map, that's even older than my zoning map, that's been folded back together, and it's handwritten numbers in the boxes, and that thing's just about to, that needs to be, included too, because it's about to fall apart, literally.
Yeah.
So, I would recommend for those maps, $20,000 and economic development, I'd say at least $100,000 for that. I know it sounds like a lot, but if you want to start
No.
really
No, I'm
addressing
following. I'm
addressing the
following.
comprehensive plan and having overlays and that kind of thing, you have to hire professionals to help, because I know I can't do it. And then you've got to have plenty of workshops and
Well,
all that kind of stuff.
what I was thinking is we're kind of at a point that we need additional information and prices on some of this stuff. And some of it, I think we can this is my opinion, that we can move forward on. And once some of those things are done, we'll see where any cost savings were, money that we'll still have, that we can put toward economic development or wherever. And,
Well,
we're not pressured into, as we've said, we're not pressured into allocating and committing the entire amount at this meeting.
no, we're not.
And we can move forward with some of these purchases, see where we are, and gather prices on things like Keisha's talking about and these other items, and we can address it again. That's my opinion.
Well, and we can make a motion today, we can make several motions today, we're not, limited to one motion. I would ask that Keisha take a moment and let her print out this updated,
Yes, please,
Um,
mine's a mess.
the
I've scribbled all
updated
over it.
budget here, or worksheet, I'll call it a budget worksheet, so we can look at it and then we can look at that and form a motion or two from it.
I'm ready for that.
Okay.
Yes.
And we're gonna also need some information, or I think we all gonna need some information from Russell on example on the cemetery.
Yeah, he's gonna
We
Definitely.
need some.
make us a
Maybe we could
plat
do a
one of these
motion.
days. Once we get a survey,
Yeah,
we'll get a landscape architect to make us a plat.
Can we, I know we don't know the full amount, but would we make a motion at this meeting to let him get started for a certain amount, or, because we need to get started.
Well, when he comes, was he gonna bring us some information when he comes to our
I hope so.
The
city
CRA?
meeting? I think, no, not at the CRA.
So
Um,
the beginning of October.
Yeah,
Right around.
let him make us, give us whatever information he has, and we can form a motion for that when the attorney's here, and,
That sounds like a plan.
Yeah, I haven't bothered Russell much lately because of his illness or
Yeah.
heart attack. There were some things I wanted from him, but he's been kind of under the weather.
Courtney's been in touch with him several times the past 10 days on where our,
That bold print.
asphalting, where's our asphalting projects? They have to be, need to be done by the end of this fiscal year. And there's 10 or 12, the people out by Ryan Drive are having a conniption fit. It's nothing but Swiss cheese out there. And on the north part of Ryan Drive. It's bad potholes.
Down to Frank's.
Yeah, just one block. And now I'm afraid they're waiting so long is that, are they gonna raise the prices again? It's scaring me. It went from an estimate of 15, now this is an example, it was somewhere around 15,000 for the one block that Russell estimated for us. Then he came back with the quote, and it was 28,000.
That's right.
So, all right.
Everybody get in on it.
Now, mine, I had 100,000 under zoning map, but I didn't.
Let me see, did I put, so
So-
you've got 100,000 on the zoning, economic?
Well, I just added it under
Okay.
capital projects, but
Okay,
I'll go back and,
well,
and I didn't mean to cross through that 5,000, so if you're looking at the laptops, that's got a line through it, but I can,
Ignore the line.
it'll ignore the line.
oh, that line is,
It
that's
was-
not deleting it or anything?
No, I
Okay.
just gotta get it taken off of there.
Okay, so that's not deleting. And can you see it, Commissioner Melander,
Oh, yeah,
or? Okay.
but I can listen to you even better.
Okay. Just wanna, I mean, she
To
could
you and
think.
Keisha. And Marie.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna go back and remind you too that we've got almost 33,000 in the CARES Act money that could be used for something.
33?
32,754 in the CARES Act. That's there that can be used for basically anything. So I'm just reminding you of that. I mean, it's small compared to the 1.4 million, but it's
Every
still
little bit
almost
helps.
$33,000. So that can be used, I mean, if we want to put that towards some maps or something, you know.
I may be off I don't want to get out of the box too much, but I want to ask Tim a question. Tim, the request for the stormwater improvement at the airport, are those estimates? Is that price an estimate, or is that price just a?
That's an estimate. We went the per acre of removal from what we've done in the past, and we figured 60 acres is what needs to be removed. And it was, at the time, $4,500 an acre.
That was with grubbing and
Right, to make it
root raking?
where we can maintain it after that.
Down to mineral soil. I wonder if you would be able to, you know what you and I talked about?
Right.
I wonder if that price would be even better.
I don't know, now, that was the price from last year too, so.
Okay.
Yeah, it's probably going up, something I can look into.
How much an acre did you say?
Between $4,500 and $5,500.
Wow.
And so, and that, I think I did ask you now, was that hauling everything away, or was that just piling it up?
That's just piling it up.
And
So
so,
it really just piling it
Oh, yeah.
and leaving it? No burning?
No,
Oh, wow.
no.
and then that's what I was using for the 300 for the cemetery, because we can't leave it piled up at the cemetery. So when we go to clear, I don't know how many, if that's really an acre, it's at least an acre over there, maybe 2.
Probably. Yeah.
So it's probably gonna be, you know, it could be $50,000 to clear that thing and get the roots out.
I hope-
Get it.
yeah,
But-
I hope not.
We have to see, we need to get an estimate.
Well, what, I'll go ahead and share with you, Tim and I had a discussion the other day on his wetland mitigation. You could put a gyro track, which there is one available, and it's not a little one, it's a full-scale one, and do the same thing at the airport. And I believe he could get that done a heck of a lot cheaper with a gyro track. It wouldn't take the roots out of the ground, but it would mulch everything right down to the ground. And it would put it in a state to where it could easily be mowed with his current bush hog and tractor.
But, you know, the problem out there has always been the wet, whether that equipment can go into that kind of terrain.
It will. As a matter of fact, DEP totally supports that piece of equipment because it is a low ground pressure unit, and they will allow it to go in the wetlands. We used to have them with forestry.
They're on tracks?
They're on, it's on something like a bombardier track.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a rubber metal combination, and Water Management District will approve it. They wouldn't a bulldozer to go in wetlands, but this thing, they allow it to go right on in the wetlands because it don't rut it up. And that's a thought that probably is well worth looking into, and it may save a lot of money.
It's the undisputed tree mulching master of the woods.
Yep.
Every forestry application to any land clearing need. But once it makes all that mulch, how can yes, it will make mulch, you know.
The mulch is scattered. The mulch
Yeah.
is not piled, it's
Right,
scattered.
kind of like, and I've seen it around. But then can the John Deere tractor ride over that? Can the John Deere tractor mow whatever's growing up like
That
ferns?
tractor, the mower comes up pretty high.
Yeah, the mower go right over the top.
Tim, I thought we bought
It'll
out
mulch it
that
right to the
wetland.
ground.
Could we not fill it in?
Oh, it will be, that wetland will
Okay.
be filled in. We're talking about the whole area of construction where the.
Oh, okay,
hangars are.
okay. I was thinking, because I was thinking, I thought we bought that
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
But it's down there at the west end, southwest end of that runway. It's
underwater.
it's wet. Yes, it's like a pond down there.
This thing that we had, or forestry had one, and I know where there's two of them right now close by that's in business. It weighs like 3 pounds per square inch. It'll almost float.
Yeah.
And it has one heck of a cutting head on it. And the teeth does not do like a bush hog where it just shreds things. It actually just mulches it right down to a chip. Very much preferred by most developers on large acreage because it does. It'll carry it right to the ground. Anyway, it's a consideration. I'm not saying to go that way, but it's a consideration.
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely
Yeah.
check it out and see what
Yeah.
the cost factor is.
And you're saying 60 acres?
60 acres, yeah, I think it was just over 60 acres.
And I want to ask you again to these stormwater management projects citywide. Now, we know what we're looking at is an estimate for, 2 months ago in August, for this Poteet thing at 70,000. That's
Yes.
just an estimate, not a professional quote.
Well, I'm still with you on stormwater management, and that's the reason why I'm really anxious to try to move ahead and get some spending done and see what we have left over, and we can put it into wherever needed. And stormwater management being one of them.
I know it. So right now we have, we've got, we don't have to motion or vote for all of it, or we can't. I mean, that's up to the pleasure of the board here, but we've got 225 for the administrative, 330 for the airport, 72 for the airport grounds, 60 acres. That would make a big change in that airport out there. It really would. And the airport actually, you know, is growing. You're going to get several new hangars and then 8 more planned.
Right, and that's what, this will
Next time.
expedite that, because
Oh,
the money to build that we already have would have to do this work, and which means it would slow the whole project down, you know, to get those hangars built. The one thing about this airport money is, Most of it goes right back into the economy. I mean, and there's no maintenance further on down the road. Like most of the things you have here, you know, there's depreciation and there's maintenance costs that are gonna have. Out there, it's most of it's gonna go right back into the economy, and it's supposed to be like a three-time multiplier when you spend construction money out there that comes back to, you know, that'll be close to $1 million back into the economy.
And that's the kind of thing where you could hire local businesses
Right.
to do. It doesn't have to necessarily go to Tallahassee the money doesn't go to Tallahassee.
That's what I wanted to ask for your quote for clearing this land. Was it from local businesses? 'Cause we have
Yes, from what we
several that
paid,
do that.
yes, it
Okay.
is. Yeah, it's pretty much an ongoing rate for, you know, any company. The advantage here by using locals is you don't have to pay the setup fees, you know, because they're right here.
Mhm.
But for the airport, they use all locals at the airport unless there's absolutely no one that can do it. Like they used a local roofing contractor, and they
Right.
use Jimmy Dening,
Yeah,
he does a lot of the rehab work on the fuel tank system for its maintenance. He's getting ready to remove the rust and paint that fuel tank system. And Norm Landscaping does the small grass cutting work
right.
out there.
Actually, you know, the city does the city will do around the hangars and all. But around the runway lights, we were having just too much trouble with those lights, so Norm goes out and does all those. We've got Ernie Newberry there that does the maintenance on the fuel system, so it's all pretty much local.
And they try hard to get locals before they reach out to
I think we do that on our
We
entire
do
city
too,
business.
and
That's the way
CRA.
it should be.
And the CRA, we do that too, because.
However, if there's an instance where we can't get that service, we may have to reach out a little further.
Yeah.
Has
But
to be
yes.
bidded out.
Yes, that would have to be, if it's
You're
gonna
not advertising it to bid it out.
Oh, yeah.
Even though it's locals, you still have to bid it
Yeah.
out.
be. And now, what has been done before, it was piecemealed, I guess you could say. It was divided
Spread
up in
out.
phases,
Yeah.
and then, so then it was under the 25,000,
Right.
and then it didn't have to be
Bid.
bid. But if something like that were to happen, you could rotate who, you know.
Your
It's
contractors.
gonna be fair with
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
local contractor.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a lot of money still,
Mhm.
$300,000.
It's a lot of money, but it'll go a long ways, and,
Yeah.
you know, that, since the advisory board started, we've got $10 million coming in from 2016 to 2027. So there's almost $1 million a year that's coming in.
From the FDOT.
Yeah.
From FDOT,
Uh-huh.
right, and it'll accelerate once we get new hangars in there. And it's no expense at all to the city, so it's money well invested. The rate of return on it is excellent. You know.
And so then I heard you've got a wait list of 20?
We have a wait list of 20 for hangars, and it's verified wait list. I mean, in other words, they want it today if they could have it. If we built 25 hangars out there tomorrow, we could rent them out. I mean, there's just that much demand. And there's also more than half of those individuals would build their own hangar if they could lease the land. Of course, there's no infrastructure for that, and that's another part of this money that would go towards clearing that area where that would become a possibility.
All right, then we've got, I'm gonna just move on and review again, 75 for the police department allocations, 110 to streets and roads, but that takes away his variable.
75 for police
72.
72.
Okay.
And 110 for streets and roads, but we're removing his variable message board. Water and sewer department, 180, and we're removing 50,000 there, but maybe, you know, we can get some better prices and go back and reallocate on some of these. 200 for Evergreen Cemetery, 50 for the water plant building rehab, 25,300 to complete the flagpole display, and that comes to 1,192,300. I have put several advertisements out on Facebook. The city's advertised this meeting. I sent out email blasts to numerous people about this meeting today and this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The only feedback that I've received is that we need some money put to economic development. And we do have, like I mentioned earlier, the members of the public, but Ms. Chase Chisholm has now joined us as well. So, I mean, we're doing the best we can without a lot of input from the public at this point.
Yeah, it's been on Oyster Radio.
Yeah.
And announced. It's been well publicized.
You're welcome.
No, thank you.
I get it. I send it to Oyster Radio as well.
Yes, I'm sure
So,
you do.
Appreciate it.
we want to have transparency here, and we want the public to have opportunity to participate.
It's taxpayer money.
It is, and this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So, is anyone prepared to make a motion on this? What,
Can we make
want
a
to-
motions in pieces?
You can make 2 motions, 3 motions, 10, I don't care, or 1. So,
Okay.
I would prefer not 10.
okay.
You prefer, okay.
Do you want to talk about the motion before you make the motion?
Maybe,
We do that sometimes.
yeah.
Okay.
It's just a lot of pieces here. I still really think we should allocate some money for the phones, because that's an important part of us. I mean, I understand Mr. Tony would rather keep his phone, but for me as a small business owner, having this separate from my business in case my phone gets subpoenaed or something, it's imperative. I mean,
I
I
understand.
can't afford to not have my phone and my computer, you know?
Mhm.
So
Hey, you
I'm
don't
really,
have to sell me. I'm good.
I mean, I would like to
But we need
also
to.
do that sooner than later.
We need to understand that, and ask ourselves, because we're familiar with our general fund, will the general fund be able to maintain the annual cost of, somebody said, I think 36,
No,
4,000.
if you don't go with smartphones and you go with a flip phone just for voice talk, I think it's $20 a month.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's something to consider too, so.
And the sad part about that is folks want to do business by
Yeah.
texting.
I would need an
Yeah.
email.
And-
I do most of it, the city stuff by email.
It
and
should
if you
be.
can't have an email on your phone, then.
The Commission on Ethics really discourages texting. They discourage that, and,
Emails.
any of that Facebook Messenger doing city business like that, it's not good.
Yeah, I try to keep it to
I don't do it.
emails and phone calls.
But the thing is, now with Miss Sabrina on board, she's helping to support my request on this. And in the years past, we had people that, our commission is slowly moving into the future and using technology. And, it just wasn't a major issue to the majority of the commission in the past. But we, as the people that I'm looking at that are running for commissioner, they're gonna want some technology. Those people
I
that are
don't
running,
think-
that are coming in.
I don't know anyone who wants to mix this with their personal business, because
It's a disaster, take it from me. It's a
doesn't
disaster.
make me
I don't-
comfortable.
I don't have a personal business, but I have a personal life. So, so do you think that the budget in the future can handle the additional funding for the smartphone? And you said right now.
3,600, I
A
don't
year?
see that being a problem.
Should that not be, each commissioner make their decision?
They
If
can.
you want it, fine, if I don't.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm probably not gonna do it.
Mhm.
But I can understand her position, owning the
Yeah.
business,
Well,
and
both.
yours.
Yeah.
But me, my personal opinion, I don't think.
I don't think you would have, and if you didn't want to use the
I'm sitting in
laptop.
Frank's chair, now.
Yeah.
I can't, I don't need no smartphone. But I understand where you guys are coming
Yeah.
from. You need it.
Excuse me.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's been a big concern of mine
Yeah.
since I
Well,
got
that's
up
what I
here.
said earlier. Me personally, I don't care to tote 2 cell phones. However, if those that do, I'm fine with that.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah. I don't have
I'm
a
sure
problem.
Mr. Cal wants,
Yes.
Some real technology out there.
So your cell phone purchase,
so that
Was
whole cost.
50 to 250, that's,
Yeah.
depending on the type of phone.
I don't want an iPhone. Oh, I know.
Well, we do Androids too, and they're actually a little bit cheaper, so.
Yeah.
So you could say probably around 150 each, something like that, times 5, even though you probably won't have 5. And then, the, annual, you got $60 or
I
$3,600.
don't think you can do the annual on this, cause it's, right, you can't.
Yeah,
Of what now?
On the,
the annual cost.
you can't do the
Okay.
annual cost on this budget.
No, but I was just wanting to, remind y'all of what the annual cost would be, if we do something like this, that our budget, general fund would have to cover that. So the purchase of the smartphones is really
Not
minimal,
much.
nominal.
Right.
There's nothing to, so, you could put another $2,000 there to purchase smartphones at the most,
It
1,000.
wouldn't even cost that
Yeah,
much.
1,000,
So change it to 6,000?
yeah. Yes, Mr. Gray?
No offense to Commissioner Millender, but you may have 2 new commissioners come November. I'm just,
Oh,
so you
absolutely.
may need to plan for 4 at least if you're,
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
That's what
You
I
don't
was
know.
trying to say tactfully, I'm just thinking of.
I'm not very
Thinking of
tactful.
the 3 others that are running, out of those 3 others that are running, they're all probably gonna want to
Well,
have
that
their
1,000 would
laptop.
cover 5 at 150.
The laptop, I'm good with.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
a smartphone, I don't need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the one of them that's running has a job that he might not wanna mix his phone with city business.
I
One of them.
understand that.
Yes, sir?
Well,
Keep in mind too, those phones have to be upgraded every couple of years. So this ain't just a one-time expense, you keep the phone for life.
I know it.
and what we should be looking at here is the business operation and my personal preference. Not my preference, or his, or yours, it's the business of this city. And I stated earlier when we were talking about electronics, let's modernize some. I'm in favor of it. I don't have a problem with it at all.
I second.
Yeah.
Was that a
go
motion?
along. No, I just
Okay.
go along with Tony, I'm like, you, we need to move
Yeah.
up modern, but some of us are not modern.
Yeah. All right.
Shouldn't hold you guys back.
So is that helping you with your motion?
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay.
okay.
So do you want to discuss it before you make it?
That was the only thing that I wanted to update about what we discussed. And then for the, where's that, sorry, the zoning map. You have 100 on here, but we said it was gonna be another 20 for just the maps. Is that correct? Or is that 100 for the maps and the software overlay?
That would be kind of everything all together.
100 is everything
Yeah,
altogether?
right.
Okay.
Because I would just include my map into the overlay, so once you
Okay, I
get
wasn't
the
sure if it
overlay.
was separate or, okay.
So you did put 100 under the
Zoning
zoning maps and economic development?
Yes,
Okay.
so I'm down to 119,107 for contingencies left over.
Yep.
I have, well, let's see. 119,107.
Yes.
And now 100, you could get your zoning maps and you could hire somebody to help us, develop something. Now, you couldn't do anything like give tax incentives. I don't know if you can give tax incentives with this one. Do y'all know what I'm talking about, tax incentives? And land purchase, or, build a walkway or something to another business or some of the kind of things that CRA does to help promote business. But this would get you started on developing an overlay, a business overlay for the district, the commercial district.
Okay, so for the motion, how specific do we need to be? Can I say,
All right, well, first of all, I would say, if you're wanting to consider everything that we've got here so far, everything like we have it, you could just make that motion to
Is there any?
Allocate.
Okay,
Yeah.
so for the cemetery, should we include that, or should we wait until October meeting and get more information from Russell?
Well, it really doesn't matter because you've already got it, you only have $119,000 left. So you could go ahead and allocate that, we could allocate that to the cemetery, we could
I'd rather
say
wait
it
and
was
have a little left.
motion, Mr. Cal said, tentative, we could motion on this tentative until we get more information from Russell.
But if it's tentative, can we get started on like streets and roads ordering a
No,
tractor?
no.
And I wanna, there's certain things
And
that
I
we need to
mean,
get
you
started
can
on.
reallocate the monies, but like, for instance, if you take out for the cemetery, all of that until you hear from Russell, then we can't begin using any of it either, like for surveys and stuff like that.
Yeah, see, I wanna do that.
But we do have money in the CARES Act, 33,000 almost, that we can use for surveys. And
Which I've already ordered the surveys, so that was just an example,
That's
as
what
far
I
as
thought.
getting it cleared and stuff like that.
And I don't want the public to think we're taking a long time, but it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
We want to do it right.
And we have a lot of things we wanna get done.
Yeah, so, she could motion,
You
a
have a
person
better
could
way to
motion
make a
for,
motion, Mr. Tony?
certain,
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
okay.
I'm gonna make a motion that we allow the request for streets and roads, the police department, the administrative request be approved to go forward and go ahead and proceed.
what about the flagpole?
Oh, okay, well, I've got a motion, we'll do something else.
I'll second it.
I would like for a second.
Okay, so we have that request by, motion by Commissioner Melander to allow the request for the Streets and Roads Department, the Police Department, and the Administrative Department to be approved and to go forward and proceed. And that's second by Commissioner Allen. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Okay, so I would just say, Ms. Sabrina brought up the flagpole display. We need to be concerned about the cemetery. We could go ahead and, maybe when we make our next motion, include the airport. If we don't want to include all the airport, include some of it so they can get started on that. And when we come back and work on the rest of the funding, include the rest of the airport or whatever we feel like. But I'm just discussing and preparing for the next motion that would follow, because I do approve of this motion. So is there any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, and that motion carries.
The,
So,
Now,
water and sewer, is that something that needs to that's time sensitive?
they need to get going on their,
The test wells?
yes, they do need to get going on that. And the bar screen
That one's
is
not
probably
gonna
gonna
be
take
forever.
at least a year. How long do you think that's gonna take to get set up? At least a year?
If not more, that's.
Before they can even order it?
No, to even get it when they start working on it, it would be at least a year before it's installed. The day they start working on it. That is not something that happens overnight.
Okay.
while you're looking, Sabrina, Mr. Tim,
Yes.
I fully support your airport project. But I do feel like that we can get what you need done a lot cheaper. And I am gonna support the project. I'm not trying to stop the project, but I do feel like we can get your needs met a lot cheaper than.
Yeah, I just don't see how that's possible, because we've been through this before, we've done the work out there. So we know what it costs. Now, as far as that machine goes, you know, at one time, we were gonna rent you can rent heavy equipment like that. And if there was a local, somebody that could rent that, to get it done. But, you know, that's how much money, just like all these other departments, they broke down the costs, is what I did. We're not just, I'm not, you know, throwing numbers out in the air, it's what it costs to do that, what we're looking to do out there. I mean, if it doesn't get done that way, it will eventually somehow get paid for it further down the road, but, you know, the goal is to get these hangars built so that there's enough money coming into that airport where somebody can be there and manage it.
Well, you don't have to sell me. I mean, I'm good. I'm good with the goal of what you're trying to achieve.
Right.
I just feel like that we can achieve the goal that you need to achieve much cheaper, and with that mulching machine. And that way you don't have any piles left out there that you said you would have with the land clearing. That'd be substantial, big piles of 60 acres left out there.
Right. Well, it's just like allocations to everything else is, if the money's not spent, it would go back. I mean, if you throw these numbers up in the air about 200 for this and 100 for that, well, if this doesn't meet that, you know, you can go back and.
Yes, yes, I understand that, but that's what I'm trying to say to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I'm trying to say to you, is I feel like we can do it a lot cheaper.
And what do
if
you?
that's the case, yeah, you don't need all that money.
That's right.
Right, and what do you think we could do it for? Kind of like I threw out 300 for the cemetery. What do you think that the airport, 60 acres, could be cleared?
I know this business owner, he's a personal friend, and I'm not trying to sell him, I'm trying to sell his machine. I haven't talked with him. You can, I can, doesn't matter. But I got a feeling he'd do it for $100,000 less than what you've quoted.
Well, we need to.
Hey, I can't speak for him. That's just my guess.
Right, but what I'm saying is then we need to approach somebody to give us a formal quote.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
Right.
Tim can do it or I can do it. Either one, doesn't matter.
Well, commissioners shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
They really shouldn't do that. You should have the administrator
Would that be
or something.
advertised out?
Oh, yeah.
Just to quote, not to, only when you're ready to do the job, but when you're getting estimates, you don't have to advertise it out. And really, commissions members should not reach out for estimates. That's not, I mean, you can ask, around, but when you start getting a printout, that
Basically, they
could
do it
be.
by the hour, don't they?
Pretty much so, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
They
You know, they do it by the hour, by the week, by the month. Yeah.
do it by the hour, by the acre.
Right.
Yes.
But it's usually a fixed, within a certain range, there's usually a fixed cost.
But just for discussion, like I said, I'm not against the project. I just
Yeah,
feel
no,
like.
I mean, I'm all for getting the biggest bang for the buck.
And then I will say too, then I'm gonna go to the flagpole display, which I'm in support of doing that project. But we have other money that can fund that as well.
We do, and I thought about that, but.
And that money can fund it. The CRA will have money for that next year. The CRA may have money for it this year. We don't know how much is being carried forward yet. We don't know if all of those asphalting jobs or any of them are gonna be done even, so.
The only thing I'm saying is, you're right, we could fund it somewhere else. But my thought this morning is, and I've said it already, is to move along and try to get some of it going versus prices continue to go up. And we have a firm price on that flagpole thing, and if it hadn't increased by now. And we could go ahead and complete some projects, just like the purchase of some of the things that we just voted on. So, but anyway, that's me.
We don't have a firm price on the water and sewer. Look, Charlie has investigated the bar screen, and over the years, he's talked about the potable water supply, anywhere from 80 to 100. 80 would get him a good start on it. So, you know. But I would like to see all of them funded somewhat so they can all get started. But if we're gonna have a problem with the airport funding, then we need to, and we just allocated $200,000 to the city for stormwater management without any estimate whatsoever. And this is stormwater management at the airport, but now we're demanding that the airport bring in a formal estimate.
That wasn't a demand.
Okay.
That was conversation between me and Tim. I mean, I wasn't demanding anything. I'm
Okay,
just
but it seemed
suggesting-
that way, and I'm just
I'm
speaking.
suggesting as a commissioner and a leader,
Mhm.
voted in here to do this, suggesting that we get the best bang for our buck to still accomplish the goals that we
Right.
need to accomplish.
Well, I think we
So-
could allocate money there, and certainly nobody is gonna do any projects without getting quotes, formal quotes, where it's put out to bid.
I have another
Okay.
question. Since we do possibly have more money in the CRA, I kind of think that we should consider that for the old water plant building. When will that be finalized for?
October the 1st, we'll know how much money we have there,
I
October
mean-
1st.
We already voted for it to go to the CRA, right?
Or-
Is
We
that
deeded it
finalized?
over.
So
Yes,
that's done?
uh-huh. And it's soon to be, by the next October meeting, we should be finalizing the plan,
Okay,
and it will be in the plan.
so that, I mean, we'll probably have, you think we should just,
It just depends upon how much money is carried forward. And
because
we'll
we
know
don't know
that
about the paving project, but we still need to do the paving projects either way, so.
generally, yes. We need to pave the downtown parking over by the library.
I mean, I want to get,
That's all in the
I know.
CRA budget.
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
and we didn't put anything towards this building, that was
No.
in the general fund,
Right.
right?
This building, we did not put anything towards it because we were thinking we would fund it through this project
Is
this
this
year.
50,000, Keisha, out of our leftover amount?
It's already in there.
Mhm.
Okay,
So it leaves 119,000 remaining if the airport stays in there at the 330.
and if it's not all used for the clearing and stormwater, then that goes back into this pool to be
I would think that
reallocated?
would be, any of this would stay in, if it's not spent out of this pool of money, it stays in there. Just like your CRA budget, any of it, it wouldn't, it does not go to the airport budget, I wouldn't
Right.
think. Wouldn't you, don't you, that's the way we've operated with the CARES Act, the money is allocated out of the CARES Act checking account.
Right.
And that money stays in there if it's not spent or needed.
Okay.
And
the
y'all would
board
be
votes-
signing the checks, seeing the invoices
Yes. Yeah.
coming
The
in.
board votes on the, like when we get bids and stuff, right? Or does the airport board?
No,
Well, they
the
make
board
a
votes.
recommendation, but we do that. And, so,
We have a motion and a second on the floor.
no, we don't.
All right.
No, we don't. We've already done the first motion. I think Ms. Sabrina's working on
Okay.
a motion.
I make a motion to approve what we have on this tentative budget for the airport, the cemetery expansion, the old water plant. Sorry, I'm taking this too. The flagpoles, memorial. Did I say water and sewer department?
No.
And
Did
the-
you say it then?
Yes,
Okay.
and the zoning map overlay.
Oh,
I think that's
you ready?
everything.
Okay, so
Yes.
here you go. You got your, Commissioner Brown is motioning to approve on this tentative budget to approve moving forward on the airport. the cemetery, the old water plant, the flagpole display, the water and sewer department projects, and the zoning maps. Okay, we have that motion by Commissioner Brown.
I'll second.
Okay, and a second by Commissioner Millender. Okay, so now we're in discussion, and I just want to look through it just a minute.
Yeah, check.
Okay. Okay, you got the cemetery, that's important.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Okay, we have that motion back. Is there any further discussion? Any further discussion? All right. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, and then that motion carries. Giving me a headache.
I know. It's a lot.
But it's good, it's good.
Okay,
I
so
mean-
we have left over $119,107, is that correct?
And that's today. It could be more,
Right.
because we don't know really what is,
Cost of
it's
half
all
of this stuff.
a guesstimate. And then I would ask that, that the airport, that we work with Tim and Courtney to try to get some, written down estimates on, from your regular land clearing folks, and then one or two who have the gyro track as well, so we can do some comparisons. And certainly none of this money is going to any of these departments' budgets or anything. It's staying right here in this account. Is that correct, Ms. Miranda? And you'll write the checks out of this account, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
And so now Dustin and them can start ordering their stuff? Is that
That's the way I understand it.
good?
Okay.
Way I
And
understand.
he actually got quotes already. I know he did on his tractor. He came originally for 100, and he got quotes, and he came back with the lower 75, I think is what he came back with for Kubota. So, and certainly Charlie doesn't make a move without getting quotes.
Mhm.
All right, so is there anything else then that you all want to discuss regarding this? We got to meet back here at 1:30.
Take a motion to adjourn.
All right, and that motion is by Commissioner Millender, second by Commissioner Walden. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries.
One thing.
Thank y'all, bye-bye.